you've been reading a bit of Kitty Flanagan's take on Jordan Peterson. Tell me about all that.
Oh, it's not, what do you mean by
She's
wrote
a parody of Jordan Peterson's.
She just wrote her own rules for life, and and she's obviously put a bit of work into it, and she's obviously a stickler for things that people aren't doing right, because it's not all jokes and comedy. It is comedy laden, but they're based on real principles, like don't eat in the toilet and stuff. Which if we instituted that in our house, I'd probably starve.
Yeah.
No. That's a bit filthy.
It's very filthy.
I don't know. What do you think, Mum? Like, she just made a book and I'm reading the book and the book's okay, but I feel a bit judged by it, to be honest.
In what way?
Well, I'm a bit of a rule breaker myself.
Yeah.
And I'm a bit messy and a bit lazy and a bit troublesome.
So...
And she convicts me of my sins in her writing. But not much.
Not enough to change.
No, definitely not enough to change. I think it's more when I'm reading it, like what mood I'm in or what state of mind I'm in.
So, this would be a good segue to talk about, like, the change theories.
What a change series.
Oh, well, I don't know if it's called change. I can't think of what the word is right now, but, like, you know, like pre-contemplation, contemplation.
Tell me more.
Oh, I'd have to look it up. I don't know.
You're hoping I'd know.
I was hoping that you would continue the story. You know how, like, when you're talking about when someone's willing to change and grow...
Yeah, so there's a cycle to it.
There's a cycle. There's, like, pre-contemplation before they are ready to... When they're just in the thinking stage of changing. And then there's contemplation, and then there's, I don't know, change and...
And then a little bit more contemplation, I think.
Probably.
Topped off
And
with
post-contemplation.
Yeah.
No, I just can't think of it right now.
No, that's all right. We'll look it up.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know, Mum.
Yeah. You're looking very Ned Kelly-esque at the moment.
Am I?
Yeah, just the beard and the top notch thing.
All I need now is a metal hat to cover my head.
Yeah.
I don't plan on buying a gun anytime soon. Although I'll keep my options open. What are you loving at the moment?
This is what I'm loving.
You love making videos now, do you?
Yeah.
Because we made videos back in the day about 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Yep.
8
All of
years
the
ago?
above, probably.
Yeah, and I was the keen one. I was the one that...
Instigated it.
Yeah, and they were alright. You weren't as funny in those ones as you have been for these last couple that we've done in the last few days.
Yeah.
You've showed a different side. Well, you usually hold that back when you're in the presence of others who you don't want to be judged by for your comedic chops.
Yeah.
But we've had a few laughs, which I'm sure keeps you up at night thinking, oh, what are people going to think of me now that they know I'm funny? I'm not all good looks and intelligence.
I was about to say, or just intelligence. And then I thought, oh, that's a bit full of myself.
Isn't it the opposite? You were being mean to yourself.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
Oh, you put yourself down and made yourself feel like you were the bad guy.
Yeah.
Oh, sweetie, you did well. Oh. Do you reckon they'll make a tyre one day that you don't need to inflate? Is that possible?
A tyre that you don't need to inflate.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've already made that.
Have they? Why don't we have it on our cars? Like, why do we have to go to the petrol station and inflate our tyres?
Because it's the best option.
It's the best option, isn't it? Air cushioned.
Yeah. It's funny because there's some things I do remember from school, like content-wise. You know how I was saying in the other episode, I didn't remember about global warming. I didn't really. But I remember about in year 6 I learned about precipitation.
Yeah.
I understand the water cycle thing.
Yeah.
I learned about crumple zone and crash zones in cars in
Okay.
science in year 7.
Mm.
I'm just wondering what it was about those ones
That's stuck in your
that
head.
I remembered.
You're probably surprised by your own ability to grasp it. No?
Maybe.
Maybe. The one thing that stuck in my head from school was by a guy, I can't remember his name, but he died about 10 years after I left school, I think. I wish I could remember his name because I'm being disrespectful by not saying it. But he talked about nature versus nurture. And that blew my mind, that was.
Oh, yeah.
So the idea of whether you're born like you are or whether it's learned behaviour.
Yeah.
And it sort of led me down the wrong track with my first son because I had this idea of the blank canvas theory, which is something that I didn't know it about, but it was practice. I thought it was real, even though I didn't know the theory had been explained and then debunked. And it's that you come into the world of blank canvas, and then people imprint on you, and you learn through behaviours and all that, the sort of person you become.
Yeah.
But they reckon now it's 50 to 70% DNA, and then the rest is learned behaviour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So at what
Like,
point did
as
they work
as
out
in-
that was wrong? Like, at what decade would have that been?
I'm not sure. Probably the 80s. I wouldn't know. Yeah. But yeah, I when I discovered, I thought that's what I'm doing. But I struggled with my son because I put all the emphasis on how I was to get him to become what I wanted to become him to become, instead of letting him be who he's already built to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was pushing shit uphill, and I wasn't giving him a fair go.
Yeah.
And I was doing my head in.
Yeah.
Well, if I just let him be and let him flourish in his own way instead of Ricky 2.0,
Yeah.
I could have been better at fathering at that young age.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I just had these, you know how you have concepts in your head that you think this is how things work, so you play them out in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not until later you realise, oh, well, that logic is actually off and it's actually causing trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had the best intentions.
Yeah.
I wanted to give him a great start, but I didn't because I wasn't led by him.
Yeah.
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 Well, I mean, it's easy to say led by someone, led by a child. I don't mean like not putting boundaries or let them decide everything. I just mean encourage what they are going to become.
Yeah.
And make them the best version of that, rather than stifling them. Or
Yeah, I got what you meant.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are some characteristics that you have, like some strengths and qualities that you have that come naturally to you, that you think's built into who you are, your inherent Ricky?
I don't know, to be honest.
Can I suggest one?
Yeah, go on.
Like, you're a very creative being.
Yeah.
And I think that must have been inherent you. Like,
Yeah.
it's obviously been nurtured by your, what you enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah, what direction I'll push myself in, or others have.
what you've
Yeah.
pushed yourself in by what comes. But it's a thing. It's natural. It comes naturally to you. I think that creativity.
Yeah.
Like for example, when you're painting with our daughter
Yeah.
and drawing with her,
Yeah.
it's just magic. Like you just create all these beautiful artworks with her, like genuinely
Mm.
with the watercolor and stuff. And with me, by contrast, I'm not trying to put myself down here, but I have learnt patterns of pictures that I've drawn since I was a kid, and
Yeah.
I drew those pictures from what I copied off my sister
Yeah.
and my mum.
Yeah.
So like when I think, okay, I'm going to draw with my daughter,
Yeah.
I think, well, what can I draw? I know how to draw a bird because I learnt that off my cousin actually.
Mm.
I know how to draw a dog because I learnt that off my sister.
Mm.
And a cat, I learnt that off my mum.
Mm.
And I just draw the same copy.
Mm.
Anyway, recently,
Mm.
I became aware of this because I realised that my drawing was so limited with my daughter
Yeah.
compared to your, like, just creativity.
Mm.
And so I started experimenting a bit, and now I've started drawing random things,
Mm.
which it's very hit and miss.
Yeah.
But like I drew, what did I draw the other day? A crab or a lobster or something?
Yeah.
And I've never drawn a lobster or a crab before. Actually, I have, to be honest. I remember I have. But it was a different type, and I have drawn... no,
This one had 3 claws. It was.
no, but like I drew it from
That's
a
beautiful,
different
honey.
perspective or a different viewpoint. Same with I drew
Yeah.
an elephant or something, but I drew it different to how I normally draw an elephant. I drew it from a different point of view.
Yeah.
Anyway, I
Yeah.
was just thinking about that.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you think you're a little bit?
autistic?
No. I always saw you as someone who had the potential to be really creative, but probably was more too narrow. Like because of your upbringing, you had a narrow scope, so you didn't experiment and you didn't try. You just played by the rules.
Yeah.
You drew in the lines.
Yeah.
So you didn't learn to make your own way so much.
Yeah. So I was pretty good in art.
Were you?
Upon reflection, I think I was pretty good in art,
Mm.
but I didn't think I was at the time.
Mm.
And whenever I did something in art, I'd always wait for my teacher's feedback.
Mm.
So I'd paint something, and then I'd wait for my teacher, Mrs. Henderson, to look at it, give my feedback,
And then decide
and
whether
then
it was
decide
good.
whether it was worthy to continue, stop, or whatever.
Yeah.
So I remember doing clouds, and I thought, that's a really good cloud. And she was like, oh, can I just help you with that? Just put a bit of shading, grey underneath. And I'm like, oh, no, yeah, that's a better cloud. That's a better cloud.
But was it?
I don't know. I still don't know. That's the problem.
I don't know.
But yeah, so that's just really interesting, I think. Like, and then there was this guy, Lincoln, in my class,
Yeah.
and he painted the back of his canvas
Yeah.
black. And the teacher said, that's a waste of paint.
Yeah.
And I thought, something in my head just snapped at that, like, a little bit, because I was like, he's being creative. Like, this was all very subconscious to me.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it at that time.
Yeah.
But later on, I thought about this.
Yeah.
He painted the front, whatever he painted, but then he painted the back of the canvas black,
Yeah.
where you're just supposed to write your name.
Yeah.
He said that was a waste of paint. And I just thought, but that was really, like, there was something beautiful about having a black canvas on the back.
Yeah.
And that was squashed.
Yeah.
And then I thought,
Because it wasn't within the boundaries of
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I thought, well, no, that is wrong, what he did. Even though it's not really wrong.
Yeah.
It's not a moral thing.
Yeah.
But that's how I learnt to paint. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm not blaming my teacher. I'm just blaming my narrow-minded way of thinking, and I just needed so much feedback to know whether something was wrong or right.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
didn't want to go outside the perimeters.
Yeah.
When I did that photography course,
Yeah.
and I had that teacher who was she was a great photographer and all that, but I kept doing my own thing. Like I'd get a project,
Yeah.
and I'd sort of think, how can I get the most out of this?
Yeah.
And I'd just do whatever I thought would expand my abilities or whatever. And she always took that as trying to be difficult.
Yeah.
when it was really not about her at all. It was about me being there because I wanted to learn, not because I wanted a certificate.
So it wasn't about you pushing her boundaries, it was about pushing your own boundaries.
Yeah, or
Of
just
artistic creativity or something.
not even boundaries, just like, oh, what can I do this that'll help me, and just thinking outside the scope of the page, because maybe that if you do it all right, you get 10 marks out of 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
But I wasn't interested in the certificate.
Yeah.
I was interested in learning photography.
Yeah.
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 So, yeah.
I remember, like, because I doubt my own intuition and my own judgment so much, I remember, and this doesn't really make sense on one level, but it makes sense to me on another. I was thinking, some artwork I know is really great,
Yeah.
and some artwork I'm not sure is really great, but other people think it's great.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, if I, like, some artwork I know is great, like, if I was the artist, would I still be critical of it? And so I started doing this horrible thing, which I wouldn't promote anyone doing. That whenever I look at an artwork, I think, if I was the artist, what wouldn't I like about this artwork? And it's so annoying because, like, there was this beautiful artwork that I saw once, and it was amazing. And then I started that lens of, like, if I was the artist, what wouldn't I like about it? And I was like, oh, that guy's face looks more like a animal's face and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
just being really critical of it. But I was just trying to work out what I thought was beautiful.
Yeah.
But I just skewed it a bit.
Yeah, but yeah, I like being critical of art too. You know, I draw stuff that's all abstract because I can't draw a bird that looks like a bird, like a real life.
Yeah.
But some people like draw hands and faces and that, and because they're not a perfect artist or a great artist, those are really hard things to draw.
Yeah.
So they come off warped and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I just think, oh, that looks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't, even though I can't do any better, probably a lot worse.
Yeah.
I judge them for that because.
Yeah.
It's not perfect.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if something's out of proportion, it's just not right.
I remember in art when the first time in year 7, like, they showed us, like, the proportions of a human face and how, like, the eyes are in the centre of the face.
Are they? Okay.
And that just boggled my mind.
I would have thought they were about 3/5 of the way up.
Well, like, I think that we were taught that it's in the centre, like, by
Oh,
the
right.
time you have
Because
your
you
hair.
think of your hair and that, and the front of your hair rather than the back. Yeah.
Does that look right? Half? A bit above half. Anyway.
It probably is because your eyebrows make it look higher too, because your eyebrows are part of your eye, so they.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a bit of double chin thing happening.
Oh,
as well,
you can't
so
see
that
no
just
double chin. Don't be silly. Nah, at least for you, you're about 5/6 of the way up at least.
But anyway, it's just funny.
Yeah. What?
I remember.
What I'd really like to do
Yeah.
is do a chips thing where you either with chips and gravy or chips and chicken salt, and you have a video for all the different chips and chicken salt in town or chips and gravy, and then you assess them all.
Yeah.
And you compare them.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, the fish and chip shop owners would be get real narky at you, except for the ones you like the best. So if their fish and chips went downhill, you'd be in trouble.
Yeah, it's politics, all that stuff. I don't think, there's 3 things you don't talk about: religion, politics, and fish and chips. That's the rules. What I was gonna say before you interrupted. Well, it wasn't interrupted. We were saying it at the same time, so it's really just.
That's all right, honey. You can say I interrupted you.
Before you interrupted.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that I was stunted with as a child
Mm.
is when I was younger, I remember trying to pick a flower in Sydney,
Mm.
in Ashfield, where my grandparents were living.
Mm.
My grandfather still lives there.
Mm.
Trying to pick a flower to smell. And I'm pretty sure it was my sister or somebody in my life said, don't smell that, it could be poisoned. But I don't know if they meant it could have been like a jacaranda or something, like it could have been a poisonous flower. A jacaranda's poisonous. What's the flower that's... Oleander, sorry. Oleanders are poisonous.
But does that work if you smell them?
I don't know. But I remember this person in my life said, don't smell the flower, it could be poisonous. But I was thinking it was like someone had injected poison in the flower.
Yeah.
And like for years, like I think just recently I realised that they were probably talking about that it was like an oleander. And it was really me thinking that someone had in Sydney, like because everyone bad hangs out in Sydney, had poisoned this flower, and then I can't. And so, like for several years, I never smelt flowers that were on the side of the road.
Even the idea of don't smell a flower because it might be poisonous is pretty harsh.
It's very Snow White, isn't it?
I don't know what. Or tell me the analogy or connection.
Oh, I don't know, but it's very.
It's very Snow White, Ricky. Let's see if this bloke goes with this. Yep. Oh, what a dickhead.
No, but I don't know. Like you should stop and smell the roses, but I wasn't allowed to, kind of thing.
It's got me worried now. Like, what? We can't smell roses, can't smell flowers, can't. Because we stopped the other day because Gracie wanted to pick a flower on the side of the road.
Yeah.
Too bad if, like, surely there'd be notices if it was like, don't smell flowers because you could die.
I don't know.
Sure, that's not the case because bees would die. I don't think the flowers are poisonous. Surely not.
No, but there are like
plants that are poisonous with poisonous leaves and all that sort of stuff. But I don't think
it oleanders?
Amongst other things, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't keep up with poisonous plants these days.
It really worries me that I don't know first aid properly. It's just a thing that I've never been able to
crack. Why? Because you've been having too much fun in first aid. Woo! Look at her go! Breathe, girl, breathe!
No, there's some sort of block there where I'm just like, this is way too hard.
Yeah, when you think something's hard, so you don't stick your mind to it,
yes.
And then it never drops.
Yeah.
I've got subjects like that where the pennies never dropped because I've always put too much of an emphasis on how hard they are. Even in my area of expertise, there's things that I don't know because I'm shy about learning them.
Do you pretend that you know about them?
No, not really. Don't think so.
Yeah.
Probably in the past I've said I've known something when I haven't known it as well as I probably can do. Probably most things, really. But like, you know, or saying I'll help with this thing when I'm not sure on how helpful it'll be.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
But you're not saying it in a deceitful way. You're saying, I'll work
No, in a confident way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can do this sort of way.
Yeah.
What were you saying before I rudely interrupted you again?
Oh, I don't know. It's gone.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. We talked about the flowers. I forget now too.
What's something that you wanted to buy as a kid but you never had the funds, or you were like, oh, that's a bit frivolous?
I never had the problem of being too frivolous. I just had the problem that I couldn't buy it because I didn't have the money. I wanted a motorbike. I wanted a computer. Console game.
Like, what about when you were a real little kid, though? Like, they're more bigger things.
Like teenager stuff.
Oh, I was thinking about I really wanted a sea monkey.
You wanted a sea monkey, did you? What was the barrier to having a sea monkey?
The cost?
How much are they? $5? What are they?
Yeah, but it's still a cost.
That's not a good attitude, Liz.
I remember I didn't get a Tamagotchi, but I got like a Yamagotchi or something.
Yeah. Yamagotchis were pretty good. I don't know. I never worked out a Tamagotchi. We might have got one, but I never used it. I wasn't going to feed something that I couldn't even work out which button to press.
Did you have a Game Boy growing up?
No, I had a Game Boy when I left school, second hand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a gold one. Didn't play it much. Never really got into it.
A what one?
A gold one.
Oh, a gold one. Yeah.
Oh, I'm real tired, Mum.
Okay, I'll let you go.
Okay, well, you finish up in the next 15 minutes. Am I an old man?
Yep.
Fucking hell. I'm in denial.
Yeah. Put it this way, they're not going to ask for your ID when you go and buy a beer.
Nah. I might ask if I need a fucking trolley to sit in. That was a nice thing you said about my artistic talent.
Yeah, it's true.